welcome back to Switzerland. Now, if there's one pleasure in life, it's me catching up with Rudy Van Dyke, and the pleasure is double when it's reporting season. So let's just see what Rudy has seen so far. Is he positive or is he negative? Rudy, thanks for joining us on the show.
Well, Peter, I'm very happy and pleased to notice that you're in the cold and I'm like warm here in the studio.
Yeah, I think it was Groucho Marx who said someone is never quite that unhappy about the failure of a close friend. So I think it applies to when your friend is shivering in the cold in Melbourne as well. So Rudy, let's kick off. CBA's report, what did you think?
Well, CBA's report was important from many angles. It was important because it will reflect positively on the rest of the sector, and expectations now are that the banks in general will have a good reporting season this month. That's always good because so far the reporting season in general hasn't been that good. It has made a little bit of a false start. Usually when the reporting season travels past the first week, there's a general optimism because usually we take off with quite some good results, and that sort of peters off as we progress through the reporting season. This year, however, CBA has been one of the exceptions thus far, and it has been a little bit of a benign and subdued event so far.
Has there been anything that you've seen so far where you thought, apart from CBA, that was a good report and it could be a reasonable bellwether for what we should see over the next 2 weeks when reporting season really hots up?
Oh, I think we definitely had a few, and I mean I'm shareholder in those companies just up front. One that put a smile on my face today was, of course, the result of Aurora, and you and I have spoken about this company a couple of times. The way I see it, in between reporting seasons, stock prices are susceptible to rumors, to speculation, to technical trading, to money flows in and out, and we can just make about anything up we want. But then in February and in August, we get twice a year a chance to reset whatever happened in between. And I'm very happy and pleased to see today that the share price of Aurora arguably was way too low leading into the result, and that has been reset now to the upside, which is very, very good because Aurora's share price is definitely not the only one that has been pared back before the actual result comes in. So that's a good one. And a company like Aurora would have a lot of headwinds, including higher electricity costs. So that becomes a negative for those companies. The other thing is that another company that is definitely on my radar, and I'm a long-term shareholder, is carsales.com.
I was going to ask you about car sales.
And they obviously are very important because we do have high PE stocks in this market. And I always like to point out that whenever one of those high PE stocks disappoints, let's say Domino's, and then the share price gets shellacked, everyone always jumps on the fact that you shouldn't buy high PE stocks, and I always disagree because out of the one or two that disappoint each season, you have 12, 14 other ones that perform actually really well. And that's why the result of car sales is very important as well, because car sales is traditionally a high PE stock. It is part of that family of the all-weather stocks, and it's very good to see that it actually comes out with a result that at the very least matches market expectations. But I think the important thing today was that car sales has shown now to the Australian market that it will be able to tap into growth offshore, and that will complement whatever it does in Australia. Obviously with the caveat that it does have operations in South Korea, so we have to be careful there's no bombs flying over its operations over there, but that's hopefully only a temporary nuisance.
Do you think the market's reaction to Nick Scali's concerns about a housing slowdown was an overreaction, and do you suspect it could be a bounce back tomorrow, provided the market's not jittery about Donald Trump and North Korea?
Peter, what I think is happening, and I've seldom seen a reporting season where the market is this extreme, jumpy and cautious. And I think what we are experiencing are low volumes and a very, very cautious investment community, in particular the fund managers, because everyone likes to avoid the stocks that drop by 10, 12, 15, 20% on a given day. We did have a few. And when they hit your portfolio, they might be responsible that you can't beat the index this year because we're already in August. And we do have those stocks. We had API, for example. We did have Main Pharma recently as well. They almost fell by 7.5% every single day since reporting. And it shows you that that in a low volume environment, when you do come out with something negative, it can have like serious ramifications. And so basically the worries and the concerns feed upon themselves. So from the moment you come out and it's a little bit negative, you just get sold down, and selling begets more selling. Having said so, in particular, I think in the retail sector, the share prices have already come off. They've then recovered a little bit. And I think investors are very, very jumpy and basically immune. Well, I should not say immune. I should say allergic for any sign of bad news, and they're out. And then you get these big share price movements, which then in itself makes other investors even more cautious and even more jumpy elsewhere.
Yeah. One last thing before we go, mate. Last time we talked, you were pretty confident that material stocks could do well, and you named a few as well. Are you still liking what you see on the miners and resources stocks front? Well,
as I said last time, they will surprise with capital management. So far, they're not really living up to expectations with the actual results. And we today had another example with Origin Energy. But I do still think that the likes of South 32, probably Whitehaven as well, some of the gold miners, Fortescue, they will all pay out hefty payouts to shareholders this reporting season. But it's about the outlook, and the outlook that's a little bit more uncertain for those companies, in particular for the energy sector, I believe.
Rudy Philip van Dijk, thanks for joining us on the program.
My pleasure, Peter.